Hi, I'm Rob from Kimpex, and here today we're going to talk about an Italian company called Falco, who's been making motorcycle boots and shoes for over 30 years. So Falco offers an entire range of motorcycle shoes and boots for every style, from street to heritage to racing, etc. You can check kimpex.com for the details on the boots, but the boots that I chose as my own personal boots to try out and to ride are these right here, which are the Marshall boot. These are also the Marshall boot. So this is the boot in black and this is the boot in brown. These are the two colors offered in this boot. And as you see, this one's a little weathered because it's used. It is my boot. Things that I liked about this boot. Surprisingly, this boot is quite light. Even though it has a buckle and a lot of armor, it's an easy boot to wear for touring. And that's really what I wanted, because even though I do off-road and I like off-road, like many off-roaders on big adventure bikes, we spend most of the time on the road, so I do have to put my preference to road bias boots. However, that being said, an important part when you go out into the wilderness is having good traction soles. So this is a dual compound sole that the shoe comes with, that comes on this boot. Many of their boots are also offered with a Vibram sole as an option, which might be something you would like. This is important for many reasons. One, you're probably going to get stuck, you might fall. These are big bikes, heavy bikes. You're gonna have to try to lift them, push them, help your buddies get out of mud, and you're gonna wanna have traction on your side. And they had plenty of traction, but not so much so that they would get caught on the pedals. So that's important. If a boot has too much traction, you will get stuck on the peg. This is very dangerous because you might not hit your brake or your shifter in time to make a quick maneuver. So they have very good soles. Another thing I found was that there was a lot of room in the boot itself. Now, what would that be good for? Well, if you have a wider foot, that would be good. Or like me, I ride early in the season, right in the spring when winter ends, and I ride right to the end in fall. So I ride in very cold temperatures. This allows you to put a nice thick sock in the boot so that you can choose your thermal protection based on that. So you have room to move around in this boot. Very comfortable. They also feature a Hytex membrane, which is Falco's waterproof membrane. This membrane, if you look inside the boot, is one single piece, and it goes all the way up to about this high on the boot itself. So I've ridden these boots in rain conditions many, many times, and rain and water has never gotten into the boot itself. And of course, I put them in the ultimate test last season when my cousin got stuck in a stream crossing, and I had to go into the stream crossing to help him get his bike out. So I spent a good 5 minutes submerged into water, and I left with nice dry feet. So this is an important feature for me when I have motorcycle boots, that they are waterproof, because if you're traveling, etc., it's very uncomfortable to have your feet soaking wet, and it's very hard to get your boots dry in time to ride again the next day. To show you Falco's Hytex membrane, you could see inside here that the membrane goes all the way up to the edge here, and also there's no space in between the tongue and the actual membrane where water could come in. So it's basically an entire sleeve for the foot, providing waterproof technology up until about this point. As I said before, I did test this out in a stream and I had no water after exiting the stream. Another technology that they have in this boot is the D3O technology. This is an armor technology that was developed for winter sports and the military. And to put it in basic terms, what it is it's a specific material that remains very pliable under soft and slow movement, but upon impact and shock, solidifies together to create an armor. So I have not had the chance to be hit or to have had that shock, fortunately, and hopefully I never do. But what I can say is that the boot itself is very pliable and I find it very, very comfortable. So it definitely does the job for comfort. The boot is also easy to put on and take off. It has one buckle here, a similar buckle that I first used in skiing, in ski boots. I remember this kind of buckle being used. And the second is the Velcro at the top here. This buckle is made from metal, or probably aluminum, so it could probably take a good beating and still keep going. I know that I've definitely given it somewhere. It's scratched up and still working just fine. It's also important to note that these boots are made from full leather. It's also oil treated. Anyone who's had boots that are not leather and tried them out, you know the difference that it makes. Of course, leather lasts a lot longer, and more importantly, it forms to your foot and is a lot more comfortable. So I do love leather gloves, leather boots, etc. So after spending a season in these boots, I'm going to report to you on how they lasted and how well they kept up over time. And as you see, I have the new pair on my right, and I have my pair here, and this looks cleaner, that's about it, but the structure of the boot itself is completely intact. There's no one area that I had any problem with. All the stitching is intact, nothing coming apart, so the construction quality is obviously very good. Falco has an entire range of footwear for motorcycles. You can check out Kimpex.com to see all of them, but they pretty much cover any category you can imagine, from racing to MX, adventure touring, street, you name it. Check out Kimpex.com for those details, and thanks again for joining us today.